Hi, welcome to my video. Welcome to my channel. Let me first introduce myself. I'm some dude from Germany, or some bloke, or some chap. I'm not sure if I'm using those words right, depending on where you come from. This video is about a British band, and I usually try to be neither British or American, nor American. I'm trying to assimilate to as well as I can to who I'm actually talking to, you know. So if I'm talking to a British person, I'm going to say ask instead of ask and something like that. But I mean, there's also probably also Americans who watch this and also people from all over the world probably. So whatever, I don't know. I'm kind of having this. I'm probably going to do this whole thing in this kind of bad attempt of speaking American English, I guess. So, So far I have done one video of this kind on my channel, just one. Well, actually, technically it's two, but in two pieces, so in two parts. So it's actually one in two parts. Anyway, and that video is about Game of Thrones, and it's a very unpopular opinion about Game of Thrones. The ending has gotten a lot of hatred from people, and I'm complaining about the complaints basically in that video. And this should be much more fun, hopefully. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing this, not the only one, obviously. So far, most of the time, most of my videos are just songs and compositions, actually. If you want to check those out and maybe like one or two of those, that would be pretty cool. But like I said on the other videos, whatever this is about now, me doing what this video is about, which is ranking Beatles albums, which is, I found out is a thing because my history with the Beatles is I had what can legitimately be called my own private little Beatlemania in 99/2000 when I was 15/16. And I was totally obsessed with the Beatles. And then there came a phase in my life where I would listen to anything but the Beatles. And now recently, which actually means another like 2 years ago, this Beatlemania of me is kind of experiencing a renaissance. Renaissance is the correct pronunciation. It's not as extreme and intense as it was back then, but that also led to it lasting longer because it started like in autumn of 2019 and is still going on, you know. Okay, I'm just realizing it's a weird mixture of pronouncing things American or using American words and British. For example, autumn, I think is what the British say, and whatever. I'm not from an English-speaking country. Just keep that in mind. And yeah, don't. As I also keep saying to people, don't hold being German against me. I didn't become one on purpose. Yeah. So anyway, yeah. So this Game of Thrones thing is more controversial, and you get in fights with people, and people are aggressive and emotional about it. And this should hopefully be much more fun. Of course, people can also be aggressive and emotional about rock music and about what to like and what not to like. And of course, I get some unpopular opinions here. But in general, I think it's a more positive subject because the Beatles are very well liked, usually, you know. And the people who really hate them are in a minority. And or are people who actually don't know them really at all. So, of course, my opinions about how to rank the albums, okay. My opinion is in parts unpopular, and it's going to lead to some people being what? But yeah, I mean, this is kind of what this. I mean, it would be kind of boring otherwise, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it? So anyway, yeah. So I guess without any more introduction, I'm going to just start. So coming in at number 13, which is probably to no big surprise for anyone, as no big surprise to anyone, as probably not a big surprise for anyone, is Yellow Submarine. Now, I actually, for the most part of this video, I'm going to, like most people who do those kind of videos actually do, hold the booklet in the camera. I only got CDs, which by the way also means that I sometimes got. I'm not always sure which song exactly closed the first side / opened the second side, the B side. I don't always know that in the case of every album, because I've always only known them as CDs. Some of those CDs here I bought back in 1999, which explains that they're not in the best condition. Fans of old music tend to be neat and tidy people, but they don't necessarily have to be. I'm not necessarily that kind of person. I try to be, but anyway. But that's why I'm actually just showing the booklets and taking the booklet out of the CD cover, out of the CD box, and just showing you the booklet, the cover. Anyway, so coming in at number 13, too, as no big surprise to anyone, would be Yellow Submarine, which is the only one I haven't got here, which I think tells you a lot about how I feel about that album. It's somewhere in the basement or something after I moved to a different city recently. Anyway, so where my opinion is unpopular when it comes to Yellow Submarine is that I actually like George Martin's compositions a lot. I love them. I think they're beautiful. Okay. But then again, a lot of people criticizing the album don't actually hate them. They're just like, well, it's not technically a Beatles album when half of it is George Martin's compositions. And the thing is, if it was only George Martin's compositions, it wouldn't even remotely count as a Beatles album at all. So in that sense, I guess it's I don't actually disagree with what most people say. Just that I might like George Martin's composition just a little more. I really love him, But yeah, but it's not technically Beatles. So, and the A side, in this case, I happen to know which is the A side and which is the B side because due to all those other videos, actually. The A side is only consists of songs that we already know from other albums, so they don't really count, in my opinion. Or songs that actually aren't that good. I'm sorry, except for Hey Bulldog. So George Martin's compositions and Hey Bulldog, those are the good parts of the album. The rest, not so much. So, and I don't think I have to say much more about that. Now, coming in at number 12, and that is probably going to be WTF. What the hell? Surprise, shock moment to a lot of people is, you can already see it. I know this is A Hard Day's Night. Now, why do I rank A Hard Day's Night so low? The thing is, it's not like it's a bad album or anything, okay? It's just, I think the only Beatles album that I actually call bad is Yellow Submarine, because the songs on it are bad and it's not even actually, but the thing is, A Hard Day's Night is being praised for being the first album with only originals, no cover songs, The problem is, and that is actually something that even people who ranked the album much higher pointed out, is that since there's only originals, there's also more filler songs. Or in other words, those originals, as I would put it, those originals aren't that good yet. They're not bad, but they're not great either, either. The title song is nice, but not as good as Help. I compare those two because they're both kind of the soundtracks to a movie. And movies are both not movies that really blew me away or anything. They're not particularly interesting, admittedly, but kind of silly, and but yeah, but the music also like the music on Help better, and I get to Help in a minute. So yeah, the title song is nice. This weird chord where nobody knows what it actually is. It's interesting, I should have known better as a song that I liked at first and then didn't like, and now I like it a little more again. But it's yeah. If I Fell is a nice melody. Happy Just to Dance with You, not so much. And I Love Her is also a beautiful melody. But I think with those, this is also, what's also interesting about the album is that it ends on this more like low-key downbeat note with I'll Be Back. There's nothing wrong with that. It's actually interesting that they do that for the first time. They don't have like a catchy upbeat rocker like Twist and Shout at the end for the first time, But I don't know. I think they're still in those songs show that they're still trying to be too much of a rock band, whatever that means. Okay, that sounds stupid when I say it like that. No, and they are a rock band, a good rock band. Okay, it's just that I don't know. Like if you listen, like compare it with Yesterday. Okay, Yesterday is actually a ballad. That I'm trying to add some rhythm and guitar and drum to it or something like. And I Love Her. I don't know. Might have worked better in a different. I don't know. Maybe that's okay. I don't think I can say anything about this that will convince people who don't actually share my sentiment about the album. That yeah. And even starting this sentence is kind of silly. It's just my personal. It's just kind of how I feel. Okay, so. And I don't think I have much more to say about that. Things We Said Today is one that a lot of people rank really low, which I really love. Anytime at All, I really like, especially for how it opens with that drum beat and everything. But there aren't much many songs on this that where I'm really like, yes, oh my god. Not really. I'm sorry. It's just how I feel. Okay. And the earlier albums balanced that out better, in my opinion, by including cover songs that are also not always good, but at least, yeah, I don't know. It feels like the earlier albums who also include cover songs also only have songs that they really felt deserved to be on the album, and this is more like they had a lot of, I don't know. They had a lot of originals, but not all of them are equally good. That's a problem. And if that was cover songs instead, and then on the later albums, you see, when everyone has their individual style, and even George had turned into this great songwriter and everything, those were better, in my opinion. On those albums, it's a good thing that they don't have covers. They would just feel out of place there, And because it's what the Beatles themselves had to offer on those albums is quite enough, in my opinion. Especially Revolver and Sgt. Pepper. But I get to all those. But here, the songs are too alike, and just some of them are just not as good as the others, which makes this a weaker album than the later albums with only originals. That's how I feel. Anyway, coming in at number 11. Which should not be a huge surprise for anyone, is Beatles for Sale. Now, Beatles for Sale, the only reason I'm ranking it higher than A Hard Day's Night is that this is not my number 12 and A Hard Day's Night is, because otherwise it's kind of, a close kind of thing, close call or whatever. Is because it's actually an important step forward to me. Because it's actually folk inspired for the first time. You can feel them changing, and also the fact that they got this organ on this one song. I don't even know which one it was actually. I think it was Mr. Moonlight, right? Yeah, Mr. Moonlight, I think, which is a cover. And also the cover songs on this are also not great. I really like Honey Don't, which a lot of people consider the worst song on the album, and they're one of the least favorites. I don't. This was actually one that spoke to me particularly well when I first heard it, due to this interesting chord progression. I really liked it. I actually like covering that song on parties or something with my guitar, you know. But okay. Yeah, no reply, and I'm a Loser are musically not particularly interesting in my opinion, but they're, although I'm a Loser is because it's kind of a bit like folk slash country kind of vibe to me. But both are interesting because they're so much less confident in the lyrics. Like you know, they show this more vulnerable side of John, and that is interesting. And it's and I feel like thing is, I feel like the earlier lyrics, the earlier songs are kind of like, okay, we got a catchy melody. Now what's the lyrics gonna be? Or something with love, okay? Something with love that will always work, you know. So basically, that's how I feel how they came about. Like musically, it's cool, good catchy melodies, lyrics, okay, it's something with love, you know. and but yet at some point you start feeling that they actually care about their lyrics. Actually, like the lyrics actually speak, are actually a reflection of how they really feel, you know. And I don't feel that way in the earlier albums, quite frankly. But this starts to feel like that, you know. And I'm not saying that all music needs to be depressing or dark, or I mean, I don't think that sad music is depressing anyway. I think it helps you deal with depression, which is actually a good thing, and it's actually uplifting, ultimately. But anyway, things I don't think that all music needs to be sad to be good. Okay, but if you're trying, but it can. I mean, sad songs can come off as more authentic, you know, because especially in the repertoire of the Beatles, because you can just feel that the early music is again, not saying that they were sad and were repressing it or anything, or were pretending to be. I think I might be looking at this too much from a modern day's perspective, and today we don't have much to be happy about. So the optimism of the early 60s is not something that I can identify with so much. That's might be some of the part of the problem. So I guess it could be that, but yeah, whatever. Yeah, my favorite song, and probably a lot of people's favorite song on the album, is "I Follow the Sun," which is absolutely beautiful and can easily compete with "Yesterday" and other beautiful McCartney ballads, in my opinion. Yeah, 8 Days a Week is it's interesting because it actually almost doesn't belong on this album, because it's more like early Beatles again, you know, because they had this, 8 Days a Week, it's a good title for a song. And then the rest, something with love, you know, basically. So how it feels to me, you know. And then, I think that's enough said about this album. It's a nice album. It's not a great album. It's not the best, obviously. Otherwise, I wouldn't be ranking it so low. The only reason I'm ranking it higher than The Hard Day's Night, like I said, is because it's a kind of a step forward musically, you know. So coming in at number 10 would be Please Please Me. Now, yeah, their first album is, in my opinion, obviously ranking high. There's a reason I'm ranking it higher. I'm ranking it higher than the ones mentioned. It's just such great energy, you know. You can just if I listen to this album, I can just tell why people went crazy about them in the time when they started out. Even though I personally like the later stuff better, as you can probably already tell by me ranking the earlier stuff so lower. But I can just still, if I listen to this, I can tell why they got famous in the first place, you know, before they could develop into the band that made Sgt. Pepper, etc. But why? The question is, why did they become famous in the first place? And there is something about them. You can just tell. You know, there's something about this wild, raw energy that you can imagine, especially in America. You know, the audience being like, "What the hell is this?" You know, It's kind of, I liken it to the time when Nirvana, when "Smells Like Teen Spirit" came on for the first time. You know, so I see a lot of kind of similarities about between those two bands. Also in terms of popularity and everything, you know. Of course, the style is completely different. The time they came from is completely different. And everything, but you know, just in terms of this kind of bringing this new, fresh, raw energy into the pop music world, so to speak. You know, and you can just tell if you listen to this album. And it's also, I don't think there's much more to say about this. There's some songs that I just like. Do You Want to Know a Secret is really beautiful, etc. Tristan Chow got this good energy. I saw her standing there, obviously. I mean, the beginning, you know, the beginning is really, especially making my point about what I just said. You know, this raw energy that I saw when you listen to I Saw Her Standing, and you're immediately sucked in. You're immediately, yeah, you know, that's how I feel anyway. And yeah. So, and then coming in at number 9 would be number 9. It's almost sounds like the German word nine, which way I pronounce it. I'm sorry. Coming in at number 9 would be with the Beatles. Yeah, why I like this better than the first one? It's hard to explain actually. Something about it. I don't know. It won't be long. Has a great chord progression. Another Second Time is a song that a lot of people consider their least favorite, which again you don't really get. You know, I really love the chord progression. And one guy pointed out that it's almost like it could actually have inspired Kurt Cobain's songwriting and chord progression of his song, and I don't understand, because that guy ranked it really low and considered it one of his least favorite songs, but in its, you know, in its favor, so to speak, said that it could have inspired Kurt Cobain, and I don't know how something that could have inspired Kurt Cobain can be a bad song. Really, I mean, how is that not? Okay, and I really love the chord progression, you know. Yeah. George's first effort, Don't Bother Me, is not great, but interesting. He himself was not a huge fan of that song in retrospect, I think, but I get it. Till There Was You is beautiful. I like it better than The Taste of Honey on the first, etc. You know. Yeah, again, not much more to say about that. So I'm just moving on. So coming in at number 8 would be drum roll. Wait for it. Help. Now, yeah, Help. I already said I like the title song. I like Help is kind of the better A Hard Day's Night for me. You know, those two. It makes sense to compare those two because they're both basically the soundtrack to a movie. You know, but this is better. The title track alone has so much more energy, in my opinion. It grabs me more. In a way, and I think the reason for that is something I already talked about. It has something to do with what I already talked about. Help is literally a cry for help. Okay, not literally, but the song is actually a cry for help. It actually meant that, you know, and you can tell that kind of makes the song better to me. You know, whereas A Hard Day's Night is still one of those earlier, you know, nice catchy melody, lyric, something with love things. And this is, you can just feel that it is genuinely a cry for help, you know, and that makes the song much more, it makes it speak to me more, and makes it just better, in my opinion. And then there's The Night Before, which is by the way, come to think of it, I'm not entirely sure of No Reply and the Loser are actually written by John. I'm assuming it. Sometimes I'm not completely sure who actually wrote the song, I must admit. Now that I come to think of it now. So someone please correct me if I'm always, because in a lot of cases, especially in the early albums, I actually always just assumed, and it makes actually more sense that John would have written it. I mean, in most cases, the person who wrote the song also sings it. You see, that's why I in many cases didn't bother to check that, to double check that anyway, actually. So, which now that I think about it, is actually kind of bad, and I should have done that. But okay, I mean, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, and then I've learned something. So if I'm assuming something wrong here, I know that John wrote help. That is the night. And now the night. I'm saying that because I now get to the night before, which I'm assuming is written by Paul. At least it's sung by Paul, obviously, or haven't I even got? It couldn't be that I haven't even got that right. No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure it's Paul. Anyway, it's a really cool song. Really grooves. I like it. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away is a song that I liked better the first time I heard it, and find less and less interesting the more I hear it, admittedly. But okay, George's I Need You is really nice. Another Girl is, again, I'm assuming it's written by Paul. And in that case, that would be one of the rare occasions in which we experience Paul being a jerk, actually, to a woman for the first time, because that is kind of like, yeah, I don't want to say that I haven't been happy with you, but there's somebody new, so. But I mean, really cool melody and everything. You're gonna lose that girl, yeah. Ticket to Ride, another one that is a lot of people's favorite that never spoke to me that much. But okay, Act Naturally is kind of nice. Also, It's Only Love. Love is a song that I don't understand. John Lennon hated the song, but he hated a lot of Beatles songs. So, and a lot of Beatles fans, it feels to me like they feel like they have to hate it too because of that, and I don't get that. It's an absolutely beautiful melody. The lyrics might not be the best ever, but it's such a fantastic melody. I don't get why someone can hate the song. Okay. Yeah, You Like Me Too Much is kind of a little weird in a way, but also interesting to me. A lot of people hate it because it's kind of got those kind of weird chords, and it's doing kind of like a weird thing with the piano, and I can't really explain what it is, but yeah, whatever. Tell Me What You See is also nice. I've just seen the face is really good. Yeah, now of course we got just one of the most popular pop songs ever. Crammed in here between I've Just Seen a Face and Dizzy Miss Lizzy, which is really kind of funny when I think about it. That I think had they known that the song would have that kind of impact, they would have probably placed it differently on the album, which is in a more meaningful position. They're either opening a side or even the entire album, or closing the entire album, or one side of it, But instead, they felt like they had to, in spite of that. I mean, even though they had already broken with that formula on A Hard Day's Night, they still felt like they had to do a catchy, nice, upbeat rock and roll, old-time rock and roll song at the end for some reason, But that was really the last time, which is Dizzy Miss Lizzy, which I don't hate or something, I really like it actually. It's kind of nice, but not much to be said about that. Yesterday is a bit of a victim of its own success, in my opinion. I personally. The thing is, okay, just because a song is popular doesn't mean it's good, but it doesn't mean it's bad either, or either. So Yesterday is just a beautiful song. It may have been a little too popular for one to actually live up to its own popularity in a way, but it's just a beautiful song. You got to give it that. Nothing wrong with that. Definitely one of the highlights of the album for me.